Hello and welcome back. This is video 11 of the Flow Certified Coach Training Series. Today we're going to look at Tile 9, which is Agile Coaching and Management Consulting. And today we have Matt Boone with us, who is both a Flow Certified Professional and a Flow Certified Coach. Matt, I'll go ahead and have you introduce yourself now on this next slide.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be with you again, Andrew. We had a wonderful working situation back about a year ago now, where I believe we exceeded 600% of management's expectations. And I thank you so much about allowing me to work with you to understand better management consulting, Agile consulting, how they both work together, that Agile coaching that really needs to have the management consulting along with it. But I am very passionate about project management. We are in this new software revolution, this new software economy, so far advanced from this mass production oil and gas economy that we lived in and had all these various metrics and this top-down approach of management by objective. Now we need to change. And I am so passionate about innovation and change in it. And I lived the years of project management, the traditional waterfall approach, but I always try to introduce a hybrid approach of taking Agile tools embedded in my waterfall approach to have this engagement, this increased engagement of team members to really exceed customer expectations. But you took it to a whole new level, you and your brother Ted, with the book Flow, in terms of better understanding of how Agile coaching works with management consulting. And I thank you for that. And hopefully my information here or some of the presentation that I make can be helpful to others too, to understand how these both concepts work together.
Thanks, Matt. It was awesome having you with last year. It was really fun working together. So leadership takeaways, back to you, Matt.
Really, it's all about a both and consideration, that there is Agile coaching, there's tool sets, there are concepts, there's the Agile manifesto, there's the Agile principles that we can all be very passionate about. But if we don't understand the management consulting, we're not going to have that lasting, growing excellence that we really need for our organizations. We will lose that Agile coaching if we just focus on the Agile tools, and we'll go back to our traditional of what we know. Change is hard. So we need that management consulting to bring about the change in the environment to allow Agile coaching to be lasting, growing, and achieve that excellence. And that's what I'd like to highlight today in the next few slides.
Cool.
So it's the transformation process, that it's not bringing in something new because we've read about it, and you will get some increase in delivery when you bring in a few Agile tools, but it probably won't be lasting. You won't be growing within the organization. Transformation with Flow is all about combining Agile coaching and management consulting. And let's dig in a little bit and talk about those two concepts, if we can go to the next slide. So it's a situation out there of two concepts that many people think it's an either or. It's you either bring in Agile coaches to introduce agility, or you bring in management consultants to have management work with agility, or management to work on efficiencies, repeatable process, and how to drive cost out, and how to get a better return on investment. But it's a both and, that in today's day and age, we're a software economy that neutralizes all the companies out there. It's a both and concept. So we need to really understand what are the differences and how do we bring both to the organization that we're working with. So it's an infinite loop that we're constantly going back between Agile coaching, management consulting, this infinite loop is one of, based on vision. But it's always mindful. You can't focus on one or the other. If you focus on agile coaching only, again, you'll go back to those traditional concepts that you've been used to. Management consulting, you'll start to develop silos. You'll start to develop funding by project. You'll start to develop mindsets that again are back to the mass production concepts, the top down, the command and control, the delegation. Our organizations have really moved forward today to being actually bottom up. They used to be top down, and it's a huge change now to think about bottom up. Agile coaching, the yes and, it's innovation, it's thinking outside of the box, it's anticipatory vision. What do our customers really want? Be open to that. Where management consulting, if we just focus on driving out costs, you're going to lose that ability to really see what the marketplace wants. And competitors now are out there 365 days a year, 24/7, and across the planet. You don't know where they're coming from, but they're out there, and you need both hats.
That's right.
So management consulting is all about the awareness of employee engagement. If you are to provide them with intrinsic motivators, your workers, your knowledge workers, with autonomy, with purpose, with mastery, those intrinsic motivators that we have to be aware of. It's no more external of money, it's of promotion, of title, but it's those internal, intrinsic motivators that really empowers the knowledge worker through the various ceremonies that you have with agility to bring about that innovation, to bring about what is going to make your organization move faster, to embrace change and move it faster, because your competition is out there. So it's, again, management consulting, the word format, I guess, brings to mind that we can't just focus on trying to have the most efficient, effective format. We need to also have the agile coaching of empowered workers through our ceremonies to be open for that innovation that's going to come from agile coaching. We need both. It's a both and equation.
I like that.
But the both and equation really allows itself for creative destruction, meaning that if we are focused on the customer, anticipatory vision, what is it that they're going to need? A lot of times customers really don't need, and that's the beauty of agility, that it's an iterative process, that we're moving through what is that deliverable that's going to exceed customer expectations. And we might not know what it is at first. We might have an idea, and if we just focus on operational excellence and have our sprint reviews and just show what we developed, we may miss the point if we're not asking the questions with a mindset of innovation and anticipatory vision. We need both, and in the heart of all this is our vision and our strategy. We need to really focus on the vision. If we can articulate it, if we can make it concise, that we all understand it and know really what we're trying to achieve, what is our why, what is our purpose, and it's not to be operationally excellent, it's to be innovative and anticipatory, or anticipate what the customer, what the marketplace is going to need. And it might be extremely destructive or something that we've never thought about before, such as I think there's a slide in the deck here about Nokia. I mean, night and day where they allowed creative destruction to take place.
Yeah. No, that's really true. And by the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to Rod Willis, who presented back in Agilia 2018 in the Czech Republic. He had a slightly different way of presenting this, and I modified this into looking at one half with agile coaching. and the other half with management consulting. But I took his innovation, operational excellence, and creative destruction and integrated in the VSPT model, which is vision, strategy, people, and tasks. You'll notice that the V and the S are sort of this teal color green that belongs to the management and management consulting side. And then the blue is the agile coaching, innovation, people, and getting down and getting the work done side of everything. So really good.
I like that. And then again, what you're talking about, vision and strategy, is the Flow 4D model, where we talk about what is the vision, and we have that conversation about what is it that we really are striving to be, if you will, and the business that we're in. And after we define that, we try to make that a concise statement of, try to make it 7 words or less, something that we can all repeat, we can all articulate, we can all live and believe in, and tell anybody what it is that we're doing in an elevator or wherever that might be. But to get there, we need to distill agreement. We need to all be on the same page, which once we define what it is that we're going to achieve or what our vision statement is and distill agreement, all of a sudden the politics leave, the anxiety leaves, the division leaves, the anarchy. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same team, which is the wonderful part of agility. When we get that team all heading in the same direction on the same page, we know what the definition of that we're trying to achieve, and then we define how we're going to deliver that we've defined. And once we understand how we're going to be delivering that vision, we need to drive it to the next level of higher performance by doing an inspection and adaptation of through a retrospective review, if you will. What is it that's going well? What could we do to make it even better? Where are our challenges? And then try to implement something to refine the process, to even enhance the process. Maybe it's change the vision just a little bit, tweaking here and there, and distilling that agreement so that everybody understands it, and we repeat the process. But the beauty of this is, if you can go to the next slide, if we can take that vision component in both the management consulting and the agility coaching, yes, the ability to see that the innovation, the anticipatory vision, based on the vision that we've just defined, we've just distilled agreement on, we know how to deliver on it, we're driving it for higher performance. But if we did that both on the management side to allow us to scale, because you will get benefit from rolling out agility tools, but the more you get management to understand empowerment of the teams closest to the customer, the more you get them to understand the mindset of really, it's bottom up rather than top down, rather than command and control. It's empowering these teams to enhance their operations, which drives then the ability to see what the customer needs. We redefine, we redistill, we know how to deliver, we drive through retrospectives, and the same thing with operational effectiveness. We define how we're going to operate, how we're going to deliver. It's this infinite loop that is both management consulting and agile coaching. The only way to get lasting, growing excellence is you need both camps. You can't just do one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And it was beautiful to watch you when you were coaching the teams there that we worked with last year, the one team, because you did some really fun things. You put the vision right above the sprint backlog. You put the mission above the sprint backlog, and then you had the sprint goal. And I thought that was just utterly brilliant, because what you were doing is you were actually taking something so abstract as vision and mission and bringing it right down into their daily work. And as you said, and then when you got to the end of the sprint, you would do the retrospective and say, guys, how is this getting us one step closer to the vision, mission, and did we achieve the sprint goals? And it was really, really fun to watch, because about 3 sprints in, all of a sudden the team, they looked at their product backlog, which was on the other wall, and they all looked at it, and all of a sudden they all sat down and they started writing new user stories. And that's when true distillation took place at a little more higher macro level, and not just at the sprint micro level. And it was really fun to watch, and to watch yourself and the team suddenly go, oh, it's all about achieving the sprint goal. How are we doing there? So for me, that was, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in here, but that was just so beautiful to watch, and to watch your interaction with the team and the questions you would ask them, and the way you did the sprints and the way you did the retrospectives. It was just, it was beyond textbook perfect. It was just, I enjoyed it immensely. So now we'll go to the next slide.
No, well, before you go there, that really was you and Ted. What you taught was to always articulate the vision. The vision has to be front and center. And you mentioned it was on top of my product backlog. It was actually on top of the Kanban board.
Yeah.
So every day when
that's right. That's right. It was up the sprint board. Yeah, exactly.
So every day for stand up, and there's always going to be questions during the stand up in terms of how we go forward, and we would always point to the vision. Well, there's the vision. What is it that we want to, we knew the vision and we knew the mission, and it allowed us to answer questions quickly in terms of those that came up during the stand up.
And it was a great way to eliminate long discussions and politics, because those kept trying to pop up every now and then. So yeah, utterly beautiful. Okay, next slide.
It was our guardrails, but again,
Exactly.
The two different concepts. If we think about management consulting in terms of the mindset, we talk about return on investment. Maybe as you go down the road of management consulting, you might go back to silos again. You might go back to funding projects rather than the team.
That was on the last slide here. Yep, keep going.
Yeah. So as you do that, and if you go to the next slide again with agility coaching, you're looking for that innovation, really because you don't know where that creative destruction is coming from.
Exactly.
Today's day and age, the pandemic, vaccines used to take 3 to 4 years. We used to inject the dead virus into the body so the antibodies would grow and attack that foreign substance. Now it's all about messaging RNA type of vaccination that can be 90% plus effective in 9 months.
Yeah.
The world has changed. So if we were just focused on operational excellence with creating vaccinations, still taking 3 to 4 years, still using the old concepts, we need to allow ourselves anticipatory vision, what it is that the customer needs, in this case, the world needs in terms of a fast vaccination. That creative destruction is altering the whole way of biomedicine in terms of how we're creating these new vaccinations of the future. It's a beautiful, well, I don't know if I want to say beautiful in terms of this pandemic, but what we've been able to achieve is incredible.
Yeah, in a very short time. And you have a really good example of another example of creative destruction on the next slide.
From rubber boots to cell phones, Nokia was like the poster child of agility. A lot of books, a lot of white papers based on how Nokia rolled out agility, but they went from rubber boots and tires to the cell phone infrastructure to the most popular handset on the planet. They had a market share of more than 50%, selling about 5 million handsets back in 2003, before there were smartphones, just the handset itself. Yeah. But where they focused then was operational excellence. What management wanted was more return on investment on the operating system, on the touch, the touch screen, not the touch screen, the button,
the keypad.
The keypad, sorry. They felt they could get more value out of that, even though they had a touchscreen phone, and even though their knowledge workers were saying customers wanted a more intuitive interface with the phone, that touchscreen, and again, they had it. Management said, no, let's really get more return on investment that customers really aren't ready for it yet. So we all know what happened in 2007. The iPhone came out with a touchscreen. Nokia at that point kept trying to sell their handset and kept losing market share till finally in 2013 they sold it to Microsoft.
Yeah.
And in 2014 Microsoft just disbanded the whole Nokia phone altogether. They
Like,
totally
bye-bye.
The creative destruction. They were so focused on operational excellence. They had the agility tools in place. They were driving efficiency of the tools, but they didn't allow the anticipatory vision for the creative destruction. And from rubber boots to cell phones, awesome creative destruction, night and day. But then something happened.
Well, they had this little, if you look at this picture here for the worldwide smartphone shipments, the smartphone category was only 5% in 2003, if that much, because in 2007, Nokia produced 462 million handsets worldwide total, not just smartphones. Okay. But the smartphone that they had was this, the old 9000 something. It was like almost like a brick, and you folded it open and it had a little keypad that you could type on to do short emails and things like that. And it was a very clunky system. And so, but they excelled. Like I said, 2007, total handsets for Nokia, 462 million. They had operational excellence nailed. But as you were pointing out, what's really sad, the saddest part of this whole story is, and you mentioned it, already in 2003, they had in their hands a touchscreen phone that was ready for production, a whole 2 years in advance of the iPhone. And so the rest is history. I'll let you keep going.
No, thanks for the clarification. I guess I didn't know the story that well, but it's really
okay.
what it is.
Story.
But it's the focus on, it's not just the tool sets, not just the agility mindset, but it's the management mindset that allows itself for efficiencies as well as the tools to allow feedback from the customer. But you need leadership to listen to those knowledge workers who are interfacing with the customers and allow for creative destruction. Because otherwise you'll gain efficiencies down to bankruptcy.
That's exactly what happened to Nokia. It's like, bye-bye. Oh, I love it. A good, excellent example. We'll keep going.
Okay. This is a great slide that I like to see every now and then because it is so illuminating that we have these certified project management professionals, and it's a tough test.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've both done it.
But there's so much knowledge in project management, but yet when you look at the success rates, we aren't meeting the customer expectations. We might meet schedule, we might meet budget, we might meet scope, but things change so rapidly. Agile at least gives us about a 400% increase of waterfall because it's an iterative process. So we're always trying to pay attention to what the customer needs, but we have a long way to go. And I think when you think about management consulting and Agile coaching, if you combine them, we can dramatically increase these numbers because I believe that Agile consultants come in with tool sets only, and they almost think that management is against them. Mm-hmm. Rather than working with management to be more engaged in how the knowledge workers are working, how that they need to allow them to work. They need those intrinsic motivators of autonomy. Let that team approve their work. Let them figure out what it is that they need, create their visions, how to exceed expectations. Management is more on the strategic level. They're away from the customer. They're arm's length, but the knowledge workers are right there with them. So if you allow for management consulting, for management to understand what it is that your knowledge workers are gaining from working with the customer to far exceed their expectations, you will dramatically increase these numbers. I'm convinced. We were just too far away from the customer, especially in waterfall, to deliver something a year down the road.
It's already too late.
The customers moved on, especially in this day and age where software is such a neutralizer. With e-commerce engines out there, it's so quick to go to the next competitor and see what they have.
Yeah. Well, and you dive a little bit deeper into this in the next couple of slides.
Okay, what do we have? Well, the tool sets for, the agility, agile-minded folks that are working with a team, and they're introducing various agile concepts like Scrum or like Kanban, and they're doing stand-ups, and they're doing retrospectives, and they're doing reviews, and that's good for the program or the portfolio, for the team, for that Scrum team, and it touches on individuals a little bit. We're getting a little bit more engagement, but we're missing a huge component that if the organization is still delegating, if they're still commanding, if they're still setting up structure to control us, if we're not allowing for that destructive, that creative destruction to come into our firm to know what the customers want tomorrow, I'm hoping you have a next slide that talks about the mindset that we really need, that management consulting, that we need to prepare. That the biggest thing is middle management, the change that they will go through, that they are writing performance reviews, they're doing resource allocation, time studies, different things more on an administrative standpoint, but they need to recognize that there's a why in the road. They either need to really focus on product management or human resources. But part of agility is that open, honest conversation that must take place in allowing your knowledge workers to lead, to approve, to roll out those minimum viable products, to get feedback from the customers. Management on the organizational level needs to roll out that vision. We all need to agree upon it, but then we need to let our knowledge workers use those tool sets in a mindset that protects those knowledge workers to be able to succeed. So it's a combination.
Yeah, it's a both and again. So yeah, perfect. Which takes us right into the next slide.
Yeah, agile coaching, I like the way you've kind of set this up on the left side of the slide, more for the individual, more for the team, where we're talking about rolling out Kanban. We talk about roles of how we work in these new tool set arenas, how the Scrum Master might facilitate these ceremonies, and we get really focused on the individual and team rolling out the deliverables. But we really need to talk more about governance. We need to talk about the mindset that management must have to protect those knowledge workers, the mindset to allow the vision not to be a couple of paragraphs on a website, but to be maybe 7 words or less that we can all articulate. We know it sets up great guardrails, but it also increases engagement of our knowledge workers. And there are Gallup studies out there that show active engagement is like 30% in the US, and I think in European or globally it's like 18%. It's very, very low. If we could tap in to that other 50-60% of our employees to get them further engaged by those intrinsic values that we've been talking about, that autonomy, that mastery, that purpose. They know why they're doing what they're doing because we can articulate vision. Autonomy, we protected them to make those decisions, to work with customers, their purpose. We know, again, and the ability to master by these reviews and these retrospective reviews. We need this operational excellence, this management consulting, but we need it with the agile coaching because there's so many benefits with agile consulting. It's just that we really need both.
Yeah, exactly. It's a both hand. And you have to know, we used to talk and joke about it all the time. Let's see,
Okay.
which hat do I have on? Agile coaching or management consulting? And we were switching hats sometimes very rapidly.
You know, I want to say too, I think it's easier said than done.
It
I
is.
think it's very intimidating for agile coaches to have this conversation with leadership, but it's a requirement.
Oh,
You need to feel
absolutely
comfortable
necessary.
with the C-suite and talk about what agile transformation is all about, or they will never walk the talk. They will only
Exactly.
introduce tools, and then they'll let the agile consultants go and bring in management consultants and drive it to
Yeah.
these. It's you have to feel comfortable working with the team as
Yeah.
well as middle management
Yep.
as well as executive management, because
Bingo.
this is huge. It's taking a firm that is top down based on promotions, length of time, knowledge, degrees, and it's flipping it to bottom up. The
Yeah.
knowledge workers closest to the customers are driving tomorrow's organization.
Yep. Exactly. Which is a perfect segue into our recap.
Okay. Well, I guess we've spoken about it's a both and,
Yeah,
but
we just did.
agile coaching, I'm just looking at some of the bullets here. Innovation, anticipatory vision, it's keeping that open mindset. It's, you know, the first value of the Agile Manifesto, interactions, individuals and interactions over process and tools. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think of management consultants as process and tools, that we want process and tools, we want efficiencies, but we really favor individuals and interactions, the interactions with the customers, the individuals, to allow them to speak their mind, to have autonomy, to know what their purpose is, to be able to master those skills in terms of delivering product to the customer. We need, it's a both and. I'm sorry, I keep going back to a
That's
both
okay.
and to make us successful. But
That's exactly right.
in the heart of it is the vision, articulating vision, and keeping that front and center on the management concept as well as the agile concept to help us drive forward. Um, we need to innovate faster. Our world is changing at a rate faster than ever. It's noticed by the vaccines that just came out, but also the e-commerce software that is coming out, where now you're buying cars on the internet. Costco is selling them, as well as all these other car companies are selling them. From Amazon just selling books to now selling pharmaceuticals, food, everything. You have got to get in touch with your customers and figure out why they will come to your organization to do business and how you keep them there, because otherwise it's so easy for them to move. It's no more firm centric like it used to be. It's customer centric, which is the reason for agility. And management needs to understand how agility allows them to be customer centric, to meet those, to basically exceed those demands of the customers. It's no longer adequate just to meet the needs. You really need to exceed their expectations, because it's too easy to move on.
Exactly. That was a great recap. We're going to go ahead and end here. Thanks again for being with today, and we'll look forward to having you in another of the videos real soon. Thanks,
Excellent.
Matt.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you so much for what you do to the community as well. I mean,
Thanks.
Agile has been given, I think, a whole new perspective based on flow. What you and your brother did by articulating how management consulting is needed with Agile coaching based on this vision, it seems so, what's the word I'm looking for? It just seems so intuitive. It seems so basic. It seems simple. Like everybody does that. But you know what? It's what's missing in so many Agile transformations. Thank you, what you do. I appreciate the book Flow. It's awesome.
Thanks, Matt.